guys? Let's make it a quick video. As I think about our society and I think about selfishness, narcissism, and all these freaking things that have just been okay, they've just been the norm in a lot of communities. It just stems from a weakness of character. And the people that are most vulnerable are suffering the most with these people that are toxic. And I think about where it stems from. I mean, this is just general ranting stuff, but I inevitably think about, in my situation, I'm a millennial, and then you got the baby boomers. And in my particular case, I have two narcissistic parents and a sibling that's probably sociopathic. But they're all very, very toxic. And I believe my mother has NPD, and probably the closest dictionary definition of NPD. And my whole life I struggled with that, fighting for that love that will never come, and I think about the millennials and how are we any different? And there's a lot of narcissism in both those generations. Obviously, you breed narcissism with the toxic family systems. It's a very hard thing to break. And where my optimism comes from is that I think the fact that us millennials are infinitely more emotionally intelligent, even if we have these mental disorders, the fact that we are talking about them, and there's no question we have a much healthier outlook in general. Of course there's pitfalls and overthinking. There's some malevolent therapists. There's some definitely over prescription of these medications. But generally, I think our awareness of these concepts and mental disorders, to the extent that we use it to grow closer together and grow more understanding of each other, and not use it as I'm a victim or a identity. I have ASD, that's my identity. That's not healthy. But I think where it ultimately leads is our ammunition, for lack of a better term, or our weapon, our tool is probably the best word, our tool against our parents, or for our parents, or to move on from our parents, to grow past our parents, get out of the enmeshment, get out of the unhealthy entanglements of our boomer parents, who couldn't be less enlightened, generally speaking, of social issues, of mental issues, of their own issues. They grew up in a time where it was much more simple. There was much more prosperity. There was a lot more. It was just, and if you look into it, they were in the heart of the most just forceful, insanely focused down, pushing down your throat advertising campaigns ever in the history of the country. And it was shoved down their throat, all the propaganda, all these ads, all the materialism, all the American dream, the consumerism that our country started pushing to keep the economy going. If you look into it, they had a lot of push into the idea of materialism. It's deeply ingrained into their psyche, believe me. I mean, we know. And of course that manifests into narcissism and a lot of selfishness towards their kids. And our awareness is our fuel, is our fire, is our tool against that. There cannot be dark without light. There cannot be the light and the awareness and the love and the, because understanding essentially is love. That love will burn brighter than the darkness that is, a narcissistic parent that cannot love. You can understand what you see. You can understand where they're coming from, understand how they grew up. And like a child, you don't let a child take advantage of you. You don't let a child manipulate you. Why would you let your parents do that? You are much smarter than them. We have YouTube. We have awareness. We have, I think, almost 100% of people on traditional, news are the boomers. Like, I was actually laughing watching, and my dad's watching Fox News, and it's on cable still or whatever, I guess, and the advertisements that came up are the most transparent, easy to see. They're so obvious of what they're selling to you. They don't even need to try. The amount of fear and propaganda. It's like, these advertisers literally are like, we don't need to try. This is boomers watching this. Buy gold. Get the bigger locks on your house. Get this. Buy stuff. Like, and then with our generation, it's like all drugs and whatnot. Oh, this guy's doing a wheelie. Oh, Jesus. Oh, that was a little awkward. Yeah, so that's a little bit of a tangent, but basically, if you have narcissistic boomer parents, you just gotta let them go to the extent that they are hurting you, and understand that that's their problem, and you're not gonna get what you want to get. It's just not. It's never gonna happen. That's up to them. And as the narcissist ages, it usually becomes a lot more toxic. These people are deeply afraid of death. They're deeply afraid of not having power and control. So they're going to lash out. They're going to manipulate more. They're going to do all kinds of stuff. And they're going to be wrinkly old children. That's a pretty sad place to be. And that's another thing, is pity is the right framing for these people, even if they're your parents. And again, understanding and having awareness and that's us. That's the youth now. We talk about this too much. We are so self-aware and so emotionally intelligent we can't let that be we can't let that go in vain, die in vain. Our awareness, is what's hurting us, and yet we have this tool at our disposal to mitigate the pain of how these people are treating us, how our parents are treating us, how these boomers are inept of any kind of actual critical thinking and understanding of what our generation is going through and what the youth is going through, what our country is going through. That self-awareness and that self-consciousness, we're constantly thinking about mental health. We are not our parents. For us to be hurting and being overly aware and struggling in this way, it would be a shame to not use that as a tool to use against, or a tool for the boomers, a tool for these older people that are, it's really sad at the end of the day. They're going to be leaving this planet with very little knowledge, very little insight, and a lot of them are going to be estranged from their own children, because that is, I would say it's both sad and hopeful at the same time. Sad for them, but hopeful in the sense that if you're able to move on from them and not repeat that kind of thinking, that's the whole point of having kids, in my opinion. I mean, you don't want to make things worse. We got to make things better. And that's the hopeful message, is letting them go swiftly into the night. It's sad, but I always think about that quote, and I think it's become more and more the case as technology ramps up. And I think about the quote is the Charlie Chaplin, The Great Dictator: "As long as men die, liberty will never perish." And it makes me think about, that's referring to the Nazi regime and everything, and not that hopefully your parents are, that bigoted, but to the extent you're being hurt by someone, that's why we move on for the next people to come through. It doesn't matter how selfish your parents are and how little they care about the legacy of their family. They don't have a choice in that they're gonna die. So that's the ultimate humility. Life doesn't care about how the Grim Reaper doesn't care about your framing of your own selfish worldview. Your kids are going to hopefully be a better version of you, whether you like it or not. And that's basically the message, which is interesting, because you got to the I don't want to get to the means justifying the ends type of conversation, because I think about that sometimes. I.e., if I made it very successful, became a very good person, became the best version of myself, and my parents had nothing to do with that. I think of Dana White, great example. A lot of these people, and you think about parents taking credit, and yeah, fuck that. I would argue that's a very risky way of looking at parenting. I.e., the more I hurt my kid, the more they're forced to better themselves. No, you can have a lot better chance of success if your parents actually support you. So screw that notion. Anyway, that's my tangential rant about boomers, and let them go, or let them do the work. Or, I mean, obviously it's not a black and white thing. It's not an absolute thing, but I know my experience. It's unfixable. It's done. There's no 36 years, nothing's changed. It's over. So don't feel bad about that. The ball's in their court, and use that emotional intelligence and that empathy to better yourself, and use it as a mirror. Use it as a shield against it, while also forging ahead. A shield against the narcissist and the boomers that are creating this angst in you, and that's about basically all I have to say about that. But yeah, if you're still watching this, I appreciate you working with me in my terrible ranting videos. I'm still I'm doing it. I'm gonna keep going, and I'm working on this whole thing called speaking. So enjoy your day, guys. Have a good one.